Welcome, everybody, to The Break. My name is Brad Lachut. I am the Director of Government and Industry Affairs for PIA Northeast, and today I'm here to talk to you about New York's Supplemental Spousal Liability Law. It's a law that's been around for a little while, but there's been a recent change that has put it kind of back in the news and changed how that coverage and that law works. So I'll discuss a little bit of that topic. So let's get right into it. What is supplemental spousal liability? So that refers to liability coverage that's in an auto insurance policy that provides coverage to a person in the event that their spouse is responsible for an accident and the person, the named insured, is injured or killed as a result. The key here is that it involves a spouse, or spouses. So an example might be a person's walking down to their mailbox to get the mail. Their spouse comes ripping around the corner, turns in the driveway, doesn't see them, and hits them and injures them. Supplemental spousal liability would provide coverage in those cases. So why are we talking about it? Well, traditionally, SSL has not been included in auto policies due to a common law doctrine referred to as spousal immunity that prevents a person from suing their own spouse. It dates back to the 1850s and says that a married couple are considered one person under the law. Since a person can't sue themselves, a spouse can't sue their spouse. This legal doctrine has been eroding away in America for a while, but still it kind of remains. There's some remnants. There is a legal presumption still in New York that an auto policy is deemed not to provide SSL unless there's an express grant of coverage in the policy. So unless it explicitly says we're covering it, policy is presumed not to provide that coverage. Now, starting in 2002, insurance carriers in New York were required to offer SSL coverage, but policyholders were required to opt into the coverage. So it wasn't included automatically in a policy. Policyholder had to proactively opt into the coverage to add it. So why is it in the news now? Well, I mentioned at the top, New York law recently changed in relation to how SSL is offered in New York policies. Starting this year in 2023, a new law went into effect that changed SSL from an opt-in coverage, so the policyholder having to proactively say, yes, I want this on my policy, to an opt-out coverage. So now the policyholder had to say, nope, I don't want it, thank you. Otherwise, it'll come standard. This began in August of 2023, and then most auto policies in the state will include SSL unless a policyholder elects to remove the coverage. I say most because this is going to include personal policies and commercial policies as well. So there will most likely be situations where a policyholder will get a notice that they're having this coverage added to their policy, and they may not have a spouse, or it might be a business that's not applicable to. In that case, the policyholder would certainly want to opt out of the coverage, which I'll talk about right now. By law, insurers are required to notify policyholders in writing that the policy includes SSL coverage, unless the policyholder opts out of it. The notification should also include an explanation of the coverage, as well as what the premium is for that coverage. And the notice has got to be in 12 font with readable font, and pretty prominent in the notification. So it's not going to be buried. It shouldn't be missed by the policyholder. So policyholders can opt out using a form that's been approved by the Department of Financial Services. You'll see the form right there, a link, and it's also below in the comments if you want to take a look there. So declinations are not going to be required at each renewal. As long as the policyholder declines once, that declination will stand unless the policyholder decides to later rescind it. Now, the caveat there is if a policyholder switches carriers, it's likely that they'll have to do a new declination. A declination only will last as long as they're with a particular carrier. So overall, that was a quick rundown of SSL. If you happen to have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at PIA, either at Government Affairs or our PIA Resource Center. In addition, I've included some links below to an article on SSL, as well as some frequently asked questions. If you do have questions, they might already be answered there. Hopefully this was helpful. If you have any suggestions for future The Breaks, please feel free to reach out, and I'll see you again soon. Bye, everybody.